Everyone, and you know what I've done? I have managed to come on the air with nothing in my coffee cup. So sugar-free cinnamon, sugar-free Da Vinci cinnamon sugar or cinnamon syrup is what I'm using this morning. So I am just going to pour that real quick because I don't do mornings without coffee. And so there I have a nice hot fresh cup of coffee. So we're going to have some fun this morning. Just let me adjust this a little bit. There we go. Now you can see me and you don't have the other camera in the way. And the reason that the camera is in the way, well, you can't see it, but it's right here. At any rate, we are going to make mayonnaise today. And mayonnaise, in my world, is an essential part of summer for sure and a year-round thing. There are 1,047 recipes out there for mayonnaise. And some of them are wonderful, some of them are not so wonderful. And you definitely can go to the store and you can buy mayonnaise. And that's fine too if you want to. But the problem with going to the store and buying any brand of mayonnaise, even those brands that say olive oil on the front of them, is that they're made with canola oil or soybean oil or corn oil or some kind of oil that is not going to do good things for your body. And one of the things that everybody needs to be aware of, but men specifically, if you are eating foods that are full of soybean oil from everything that I've learned is about the worst. Soybean oil has an effect in the male body that lowers testosterone. It lowers sperm count. It increases inflammation. So does canola oil and vegetable oils. Vegetable oils are not a thing. It's like, well, of course they're a thing. I see them in the grocery store all the time. What I mean by that is you do not get oil from vegetables. You get oil from fruit, like olives or avocados, and yes, they are fruit, not vegetables. But you do not get oil from vegetables. I don't care how hard you squeeze broccoli, you're not going to get oil from it. So what is vegetable oil that you see in the grocery store, in the vegetable oil section? It is a highly processed seed oil, and the way they get the oil out of the canola or out of the corn or out of the soybean is by using high pressure and solvents. And they get this horrible stinky sludge that they have to deodorize. Well, if it's that bad that you have to deodorize it, it's not something that we should be eating. And it doesn't do good things in our body. So every time you go to eat a salad dressing that you find in the store or mayonnaise that you find in the store, every time you go to a restaurant that has deep fried food, I'm not telling you should never have it. I'm saying you need to be aware of what's in that food and what you're putting in your body. And then you need to make an informed decision. So if you don't believe me, that's okay. There's no requirement for you to hang out here with me for you to believe me. But do your research. Do your research. Okay, so we are going to make my version of a name brand mayonnaise that should not be named, because we're going to do something a little bit different. Now, the ingredients that you have for your mayonnaise is so important, and it's very easy to make. Now, I just need to make sure that I have everything all plugged in and ready to go, and I do. Look at that. I'm almost organized this morning. And we're going to be a little bit noisy today, but we're going to leave that until a little bit later. So I am going to show you what you need to make some delicious mayonnaise to have in your kitchen. So let's do this. There we go. Okay, so the first thing that you need is an egg. Now, you might wonder why I have this egg sitting in water, and the reason that I have this egg sitting in water is because, good morning, Mom. If you used this egg that just came out of the fridge, your mayonnaise would fail. You cannot use a cold egg for mayonnaise, but because I was not very on the ball, I did not take an egg out of the fridge. It needs to be room temperature. Take it out and leave it sitting on the counter for an hour or 2 or 3. It's going to be fine. You don't have to worry about it. Now, if you are at all concerned about salmonella, you want to pasteurize your egg. How on earth do you pasteurize your egg? You need to bring the egg up to 140 degrees and then let it go back down. 140 degrees Fahrenheit. And that is going to pasteurize your egg so that it's safe to use, because we are using a raw egg. Now, the other thing that it does when it comes right out of the fridge, so this one, oops, where are we here? This one that's right out of the fridge, we're not going to use that because that is not going to make mayonnaise. That's just going to make a mess. Now, this one that I have sitting in water is now pasteurized, and so you don't need to worry so much about whether or not that's safe, because we've done what we needed to do to make sure that it was safe. And there is always a question about whether or not it needs to be pasteurized. I'm not going to get into that discussion with anybody. You can do it or not do it. It's your kitchen. It's your food. You do you. So, but just so you are aware, raising the internal temperature or putting it in water that's 140 degrees for about 5 minutes is going to pasteurize your egg. At least that's what I'm told. And then we're going to take this egg and this is what aprons are for. Dry it off. And we're going to get this little container of water out of the way, because I know me and there is a very real possibility that I will end up making a mess with it. So that just fixed that. So we have our pasteurized room temperature egg. The next thing that we need, now you will find 100 different recipes, and some of them will say you need 1 teaspoon of acid, and some will say you need 3 tablespoons of acid. What I will say is this. This morning, we're going to start with 2 teaspoons, and we're going to use white vinegar. And the reason that we're going to use white vinegar is because white vinegar has a neutral flavor. I know that sounds crazy because everybody knows vinegar is sour and that's not neutral, but it is when you are talking about making a mayonnaise, because white vinegar doesn't have any additional flavors. Now, you can use apple cider vinegar. That's going to give it a little bit of a different flavor. You can use champagne vinegar, lemon juice, key lime juice. You can use whatever you like. Make the mayonnaise your way. So what you're wanting for this recipe this morning is 2 teaspoons of acid. So that's what we're going to do. And we're going to use everything that I'm using in the base this morning has got a neutral flavor. And I'll show you why that's going to be important in a little bit. Now, the oil that we're going to use, this is Chosen Foods avocado oil. And why am I using avocado oil instead of olive oil? I like avocado oil because every single bottle of olive oil has a different flavor. And it definitely is a flavor that you're going to notice. And I want my olive oil to be mayonnaise flavored. Now, olive oils are a tricky thing. If you go to the store and you buy just an off-the-shelf olive oil where you get, a 5-gallon pail for $14.99, that is not good quality olive oil. It just isn't. That is good quality coffee with sugar-free cinnamon in it, though. Olive oil comes in many different, I don't know, what's the word that I'm looking for? Many different varieties for sure. All olives, but if it is, okay, I have somebody saying your video and sound are freezing periodically. Now, that might be your computer. If you are watching this and you ever have a problem seeing my video, pop over to YouTube and see if it's any better there. Hopefully it is. So, olive oil. There are so many different brands of olive oil that are really good quality olive oil. If you find an olive oil that says it's an estate olive oil, you're looking in the right direction. Estate olive oils are pure olive oil. You can pay hundreds of dollars for, this is a 1 liter bottle of avocado oil. You get the highest quality olive oil from Italy or Spain. You can pay hundreds of dollars, if not thousands, for this. A good quality olive oil. If you bring a bottle of olive oil home and you want to know if you've got one that's really nice, pour a little bit into a glass and just take a tiny little sip. If it tastes good, then you just got a really nice olive oil. If it tastes disgusting and you just spit it out, you just got a really crappy quality of olive oil. So if you look now, do I have, yeah, somewhere up there, I have a crappy bottle of olive oil. And so why do I have it? Because it's good to brush a grill with. But would I use it for cooking somewhere where I want the flavor to shine through? Absolutely not. So if you're buying olive oil, invest in a good quality olive oil. If you're using it to make a salad dressing, if you're using your oil to make a salad dressing or a mayonnaise or something where you want the flavor of other ingredients to shine through, but not so much the oil, I recommend avocado oil because it's a very neutral oil. And it's going to be the same every time. And this one I really like. It's 100% pure avocado oil from Chosen Foods. The best value that I've found for this is from Costco. So check out your local Costco. See if you can't find Chosen Foods olive oil or Chosen Foods avocado oil. Now the other thing that you can find at Costco is Chosen Foods avocado oil mayonnaise, and it's quite nice. I like making my own because I can adjust the flavor to where I want it. So the other thing that's true is I can make my own mayonnaise much more inexpensively than I can buy it. And I get it. For them to make mayonnaise is, there we go. For them to make mayonnaise for me, it's an expensive thing to do. So I don't need to worry about it being shelf stable because mine isn't going to be in the on the shelf. It's going to be in the refrigerator. You don't want to make a great big giant jar. This is not like the mayonnaise that you buy in the grocery store, the name brand mayonnaise that you can have in the fridge that, 2 years from now you open that jar of mayonnaise and it still seems fresh. That's a warning, by the way. Fresh food does not stay good that long. Okay, so what else are we using in our mayonnaise? We are going to use 1 teaspoon of salt. You can use more, you can use less. And we are also going to add, let me see. Okay, here is our salt. Now I want you to take a look at this salt. Now, can you see this? Yeah, there we go. Let's see if we can't get it to just focus on the salt. Maybe not. Can you see the little specks in it? Now this is an absolutely beautiful salt. If you have Himalayan salt is lovely. You can use that for sure. This is Redmond's real salt, and we talk about that quite often. All of the little specks that you're seeing are trace amounts of minerals that we need in our body. So make sure that you are not using table salt. That stuff is awful for you. Sea salt is okay, but sea salt, they have done studies in the last few years with top brands of sea salt, and what they're finding is that human beings have done such a thorough job of polluting this planet that they're finding microplastics in the sea salt. Microplastics that they're not sure whether or not they can get into our bloodstream, whether or not they can get through the blood-brain barrier. I don't really think it's worth taking a chance. So, this is actually a sea salt, but it is mined from an ancient ocean bed 200 meters under the Earth's surface. It has never been exposed to pollution. No microplastics. Yes. Okay, so onwards and upwards. So we have our vinegar, we have our oil. Now we are going to use 1 cup of avocado oil, or 250 milliliters. And the olive oil is also at room temperature. Everything is at room temperature. So the vinegar is at room temperature. And everything that I'm using today is a very neutral flavor. The oil, the egg, the vinegar. And I'm choosing a neutral flavor because I want the flavor of the spices that we're adding to come through. Now, something that a lot of people don't even look at. Most people know mayonnaise are made with eggs. Okay, that's fine. And oil. And it will say on the label, olive oil, mayonnaise. And if you turn that jar around and you look at the ingredients have to be listed in order of appearance. So the first ingredient is going to be the thing that there is the most of. So if we weigh the ingredients that we have here, just a second here, there, that's a little bit better. If we weigh the ingredients that we have here, or we look at them by volume, the first thing listed is going to be our oil. Now we're using a beautiful avocado oil. So when you look at the back of a jar of mayonnaise in the grocery store and the very first thing listed is canola oil or soybean oil, I want you to think about these ingredients that we have here right now, because there is a little bit of this and a little bit of this and a little bit of this and a whole lot of this. So you are buying a product that is absolutely full of oils that are going to mess with hormone levels. They're going to mess with inflammation. If you're battling hip problems, knee problems, any kind of joint issues, or you're feeling like you've got a lot of brain fog going on, you just can't focus, you want to think about what it is that you're putting in your body, because some of that may be caused by putting an oil in your body that isn't good for you. Okay, so the next thing, and I'm just going to get out a wee little measuring cup here. So we need 2 teaspoons. These are just the most fun measuring cups. I think these are cool because I kind of feel like a mad scientist when I'm in the kitchen. Okay, we're going to put 2 teaspoons. Okay, there is 2 teaspoons of white vinegar. And we're just going to put this right back up here. You know, about 15 years ago, give or take, maybe more, when Dell and I were still driving truck, I bought a bottle of white vinegar that came in a glass bottle. I don't think I'd ever seen one like that before. And I just thought it was the perfect size, and throwing out glass, you can't recycle glass. So I have refilled this little glass bottle for a bazillion years, give or take, and it just fits in my pantry with my spices so perfectly. I don't have a great big huge jug to deal with. Okay, so we need an immersion blender. You can use your Vitamix, you can use your Ninja, you can use whatever kind of blender you have. If you have an immersion blender, it is going to make things, in my opinion, so much easier. So we're going to use an immersion blender and putting things in the correct order. is very important. So the first thing that we need is our egg. Oops. So there is one egg, and there it is. And of course, this is going to be the time that I end up with a little bit of egg on the counter, but that little drop of egg won't make any difference. We still have way plenty in here. And I got a little tiny piece of shell in there. And I don't worry about cracking it into another vessel first, because there's nothing else in here and we're not putting anything else in there. We're not adding another egg. So as long as you can see what's in here, then you're good. The next thing that we're going to add is our 2 teaspoons of white vinegar. So egg, neutral flavor. Now, if you are buying eggs at the grocery store, you do the best you can do. So what I mean by that is, if you want to buy the cheapest eggs that they have in the grocery store, that's exactly, hi Del, that's exactly what you should do. If you want to buy the $14 a dozen pasture-raised chicken eggs that have been babysat by turkeys who were, I don't know, some crazy amazing whatever egg. If you want to use duck eggs, if you want to use ostrich eggs, I'm telling you right now, you're going to need more than a cup. Any kind of egg you want to use is fine. This can be as expensive. You want to buy a bottle of olive oil for hundreds of dollars and use a cup of that? Absolutely, do that. But you don't have to. And I have people say to me all the time, I could never do keto because it is so expensive. I can't afford to eat bacon and steak all the time. Well, welcome to my world. Neither can I. So we do the best we can do with what we have. It's that easy. So we have 1 egg, 2 teaspoons of white vinegar, and that is how we're going to start this. Now, don't do this in a bowl. If you're using an immersion blender, you want a jar. No, I use a jar. And you want one that the immersion blender is just going to fit into nicely. So if it's too big, there's too much movement, you're better using a blender. Okay, now let's just change our angle a wee little bit here so you guys can see what's going on a little bit better. Okay. We're going to get this mixed up. Now you can see already that the vinegar, you can't really tell from looking, but the vinegar has made this egg very watery. And that's exactly what we're wanting, is we're wanting this vinegar to break down the egg. Now, this is going to be a little harder for me to show you, but the next thing, we're leaving the salt. Oh, and the other thing that we're going to have in here that is wonderful is some TSL Organics cayenne pepper, just a bit. We're not trying to make this a spicy mayonnaise, we're just trying to elevate the flavor a little bit. So, here we go. Gonna get noisy for a minute. So, you keep this blending the whole time and just add the oil in slowly. So it doesn't mean that it has to be a drop at a time, but it does need to be slower. And what you will find is that the oil and the egg will be emulsified by the blender, so you get a thick, beautiful mayonnaise. Okay, see, I told you we were going to be noisy today. And how long did that take us? Less than a minute, give or take. And look at what we have. Now we're going to keep going and make sure that everything is thoroughly mixed. But look at how quickly that became a beautiful creamy mayonnaise. 1 egg, 1 cup of oil, 2 teaspoons of white vinegar. Okay, now we have this beautiful mayonnaise, and it really is quite lovely. If you were to taste this right now, and I'm not going to do that to myself, what you would taste is something very bland that doesn't have a lot of flavor. We've used a neutral vinegar, a neutral oil, and an egg. So now that we have the mayonnaise, we want to add any spices or any salt. And you're doing that afterwards so that it doesn't have any effect on the emulsification process. So we have our mayonnaise, now we mix in whatever we want for flavor. So I'm adding 1 teaspoon of TSL Organics ground mustard. And I'm also adding my teaspoon of salt. I'm not going to put a whole teaspoon in there. I don't need it really salty. Well, okay, and the other thing that we're going to do, and this is important, you want just a pinch. Just a pinch, not a drop, not a tad, not a smidgen. There we go, that is a pinch of cayenne pepper, TSL Organics cayenne pepper. Now, you have just done something awesome by making your mayonnaise with an egg and healthy oil. Do not add spices that are full of fillers or vital wheat gluten or sugar, because what you've just created, you're going to pollute. So, I would be honored if you kept me in mind for your spice needs, because TSL Organic Spices, here's my shameless plug for my spice line. TSL Organic Spices and Seasoning Blends are gluten-free, sugar-free, grain-free. They're non-GMO, non-irradiated. There are never any fillers and never any MSG. So what you're getting is real food. So who knew you could still do that? Now, we're going to bring this up. There. And we're going to blend these in. I know we're being noisy again. I'm just getting the little bits of spice off the side here. Now make this and then put it in the fridge for an hour or 2, or maybe until tomorrow if you can. Okay, now this is the coolest little tool, and I got this at a dollar store close to where I live. I love this little spatula that has a pointy end on it, especially when I'm doing something like this, because it lets me get inside the immersion blender much more easily. Okay, now we're going to clean this off. Now, if you are making a keto mock potato salad, and I just dropped mayonnaise on the counter. If you're making a potato salad or a ranch dressing or a dill dressing or a dill dip, if you're doing anything with mayonnaise, if you make your own like this, and you know, like I said, I would be honored if you kept me in mind for all of your spice needs. But again, you have to do the best you can do, and nobody can ask more of you than that. So, you've already been grocery shopping. You've spent your grocery budget for the week. And what you have in your cupboard is hopefully a bottle of avocado oil. You can also make make mayonnaise using butter or bacon fat. That is a true story. Okay, so I've got this cleaned off, and I only got one splat on the counter, so that's awesome. So we're just going to take this. Yeah, see, it just cleans it off so well. That's awesome. Just lets you get into tight spaces. Okay, now that we have this all done, it is time to do a taste test. So, let's do a taste test. Yep, that is yummy. That is really yummy. Now, I only added about half a teaspoon of salt in here, and it depends on what I'm doing with it. Could it use a little more salt? It could. So I maybe could have used the whole teaspoon. Now, one of the reasons that I started off with half a teaspoon of salt is because it is easy to add more. It is impossible to take it out. So start small, work your way up. This is absolutely lovely, and I now have a jar of mayonnaise for keto salads, keto dips, keto sandwiches, keto anything. And I know that when I feed this either to myself or to my husband or any other member of my family that I love dearly, I'm going to be giving them something that is healthy, that is going to honor their body and is going to help them maintain the health that is not only important to them, but it's important to me because I love them so much. So, if you have a jar of mayonnaise in your fridge that you did not make, check the ingredients on it. And I'm not telling you to throw it out. I'm saying check the ingredients. And from there, decide whether or not you should throw it out. That's your choice. But the next time you need mayonnaise, come back and watch this video again. So what we have done is a pinch of cayenne, a teaspoon of ground mustard, about half a teaspoon of salt, 1 cup of avocado oil, and 1 room temperature egg that you pasteurized at 140 degrees for 5 minutes, if you choose to. That is so yummy. If you want to change it up a little bit, then you can make your mayonnaise with lemon juice or lime juice or key lime juice or whatever kind of acid you want to use. You can play around with a little bit of citric acid instead of using a liquid acid. Play with it, and once you get a base mayonnaise made, you can put little bits in small little dishes like this and play with some different flavors. Add different spices, see what you like. Make a dill mayonnaise, make whatever it is that you like. Now, I've kept you longer than I intended, and I am so grateful that you are here watching this. I hope that you will make your own mayonnaise, and I hope that you will do your very best to be your best version of yourself. You can do this whether you have an immersion blender or a normal blender. You can do this easily. Now, I want you to reach out to someone that you love. It will do every bit as much for you to brighten your day as it does to them. We all need to remember that we're loved, and we need to let the people that we know that they're loved as well. So I hope that I will see you here next Sunday morning, 10 a.m. I don't know what we're going to be doing, but it'll be something fun. And I am looking forward to seeing you then. Go and do whatever you can do to help make somebody else's day sunny. And I am going to figure out what I'm going to use this mayonnaise on a little later. I have a couple ideas, so we'll see. So I will talk to you later. Go make mayonnaise. Thank you for being here. Click like, subscribe, the bells, the thumbs up, all the things. And I will see you next week. Have a great week, everybody.